Hello everyone, welcome back to our YouTube channel Boomi World. Hope everyone is doing great. If you haven't watched my previous videos, please go and check it out now. In our last video, we discussed what is set property shape and different types of properties on Boomi. In this video, I'm going to discuss about how to configure set property shapes on Boomi, and I'll explain each and every property clearly. So this is our Boomi platform. Now we'll see how to configure set property shape on Boomi. So set property shape is one of the execute shape. So you can find set property shape under execute shape. So I'm just dragging and dropping the set property shape to the build mode. So here you can find definition of the set property shape. The set property shape allows you to set values for various documents and process properties. These properties can be used to set outbound connector attributes such as file name or email subject, or store certain values in memory to facilitate the integration. The property values can be comprised of static and dynamic values. Okay, so this is the definition of the set property shape. So as I discussed, set property shapes of 4 types, right? So here you need to define those set properties names based on your requirements. So by clicking on the plus button, you can able to see property types: document property, dynamic document property, dynamic process property, and then process property, MIME property. So this is advanced property. So currently I'm not going to discuss about this MIME property. So first we'll see how to configure document property. So I'm just clicking on the document property. After that, here you need to choose source step. So document properties are predefined properties and which is used to set connector attributes names, right? So which connector attributes names you want to specify, that connector type you need to choose here. Okay, suppose if you are sending any documents to FTP server and client asks you to set file name. Whenever you are sending the files to FTP server, you have to specify the file name as per your requirement. So in that case, you need to choose connector type is FTP. After that, you can choose property values. So these are the predefined properties, document predefined properties. If you want to set file name, you can choose this one. If you are going to provide the remote directory, on which directory you are going to send that documents on FTP server, that document value you can pass here. If you are going to send documents to any move to directory, that directory value you have to choose here. Suppose now you are setting the file name. So I am selecting file name and clicking on OK. So this is the name. Okay, so for this name you have to pass value here, property value here. Suppose as per your requirement, your client asks you to set file name as employee dot and execution time, date and time. In that time, date and time, and date type will be current date, and in which format date should format. So based on your requirement, you have to choose that one. After that, dot, if you are going to send CSV file, you can specify extension as CSV and OK. So the file name will populate on FTP server as employee dot current date and dot CSV. Okay, so this is how the file name will go to the FTP server. Okay, so this is how you need to use document properties. I'm just connecting this map shape to set property shape, and after set property shape you have to choose FTP server destination system. So you have to configure the destination details as per your requirement. As of now, I'm just connecting this set property shape to FTP server and FTP server to stop shape. So this is how you need to configure FTP server. Suppose if you are sending any mail conversation, success mail or failure mails to clients, in that case you have to use mail connector, right? So mail connector. So before sending mail connector, you have to specify document properties to set subject, from address, to address, body, subject. For those details you have to use set property shape, and in that set property shape you have to choose mail connector, and property value will be, so however you want to pass the body you have to specify that one. And if you are sending any attachments to the mail, that time you can choose the file name to set the file name, attachment file name. And after that, if you however you want to send the subject to the client, that subject, and from address, from which email address you are going to send, that email address you have to specify here. And after that, to address, to which addresses you are going to sending the mail, that addresses you need to specify. Okay, so to address, and I'm just clicking on OK here. That name 1@gmail.com, and you have to differentiate two mails based on the semicolon. Okay, after that, name2@gmail.com. okay, so this is how you have to specify to address. Suppose you are specifying any subject, just choose that subject, and here you have to specify subject Boomi error notification. Okay, this is not a mandatory subject, however you want you can configure that subject based on your requirements. Okay, so this is about document property. Okay, so I'm just removing this document property, mail connection, and this FTP server for time being. Okay, now we saw how to configure document property, right? Now we can see dynamic document property. So for that, I'm just clicking on the plus button, and here I'm choosing dynamic document property. And here you need to configure dynamic document name. Suppose if you are storing employee ID, that time DDP dynamic document property employee ID. However you want, you can type that name here and then copy. Okay, so for this name you have to pass property value, right? So from source system we are getting flat file, so I'm choosing profile element and then profile type as flat file, and then I'm choosing that flat file profile, and here I'm selecting that employee ID, so that whenever you got any document from the source system, that document employee ID value will store into this dynamic document property employee ID. And wherever you want this employee ID value, that time you can use this dynamic document property employee ID name. Okay, so now I'm setting this DDP value, so I'm just removing this FTP for time being. Okay, after getting the source system data, I'm using set property shape to store the employee ID value from flat file profile. After that, I'm doing some mappings, and so as per my requirement I have to get that value here. Okay, so I'm just using map shape to check whether we are populating that value or not. So I'm giving 1, and on variables I'm choosing document property. Under document property I'm choosing dynamic document property. Here I'm getting that employee ID value, so that property name and then this property name should be same. So Boomi, this value is a case sensitive, so name should be same. So you have to copy and paste that name value here, otherwise you won't get that particular value here. Okay, so and I'm saving the process, so we'll see whether we'll get that value in message shape or not. Okay, so now here we are setting the property dynamic document property value, and here we are trying to get that dynamic document property value. Okay, and I'm saving the process and I'm testing the process. See, the process execution got completed. We are setting property value into dynamic document property, right? So we'll see that ID value is storing into dynamic document property or not. So see, 121 value got stored. After that we got 121 value here. So final output will be 121. See, 121 we got from message ship. So here we are setting and here we are getting. So wherever you want that value, you can get based on the reference value. So if you see here under logs, you can see only 121. Actually we are getting 3 employee details from the source system, but here you got only one value because after source system we are not splitting those document. If you split those document, you will get 3 values for the dynamic document value. So I'm using data process shape to split that flat file. Okay, I'm choosing splitting option, split documents, and then flat file, split by line. So I'm choosing return first line as a column header and I'm selecting OK, saving the process and testing the process. See, the process execution got completed, and here you can see 121, 122 and then 123 employee IDs. So because we are getting multiple values, so dynamic document property stored 3 values. So at the message shape 121, 122, 123. So you set 3 values here and you got 3 values here. Okay, and even at the final also you can see 3 values, 123. See, and 122. Okay, so this is how you need to configure dynamic document property. You have to keep in mind one point here: dynamic document property does not persist between branches. Okay, suppose if you are using any branch shape, okay, if you set dynamic document property before the branch shape, that value you can get that value anywhere in the process, anywhere in the branches. Even in first branch you can able to get, and even in second branch you can able to get that dynamic document property value. Okay, if you set any dynamic document property values in any one of the branch, you can't able to get that dynamic document property value in second branch, because dynamic document property value does not persist between branches. If you want to get that dynamic document property value anywhere in the process, that time you have to set the dynamic document property value before the branch. So this is how we need to configure dynamic document property. So after that we can see dynamic process property. So as I said, dynamic process property is a global variable within the scope of the process execution. Okay, I'm setting dynamic process property employee ID. Okay, so here I'm trying to store employee ID in dynamic process property. Okay, and I'm choosing profile element because we are getting flat file from the source system. I'm choosing that profile structure and I'm using the employee ID value and clicking on the OK. Okay, here I configured dynamic process property value, and here I'm trying to get that dynamic process property value. So I'm just using message shape to get the dynamic process property value. I'm choosing dynamic process property value and DPP employee ID. The name, property name should be same, employee ID, and I'm saving the process. So here the name also same. Okay, and I'm copying this end and continue and pasting here. I'm saving the process. I'm testing the process. We'll see the dynamic process property results. See, the process execution got completed. For dynamic process property, you can see 3 values got stored here, and here we got only one value, which is the last value, 123 value we got, because it is a single instance. Dynamic process property value is a single instance and it is a global variable within the scope of the process executions. So that's why you got only one value, that is the last value, last document value. Okay, so by using dynamic process property value, if you have multiple values coming from the source system, you can able to get only last value. So you can set dynamic process property anywhere in the process and you can get the dynamic process property wherever you want. Okay, but you will get only single instance value, which is final document result. Okay, so that's why this dynamic process property value will use it to set process related information, not document related information. Okay, so how to set that process property information? Suppose if you are sending any mail to your clients, in that case they ask you to send mail, process name, execution time, everything. That time you have to specify the process related information before the try catch with the help of set property shape. So here I am choosing dynamic process property and DPP process name. For this process name you have to configure that value, you have to specify those values from the execution property. So under execution property you can find account ID, atom name, execution ID, everything, process name, ID, node ID, execution ID, everything. So whatever the client asks you to send in the mail, those process related information you have to store with the help of process property, dynamic process property. So that process name will store in DPP, this process name. So if you want to get that process name anywhere in the process, you can just use this dynamic DPP process name so that that process name will populate. So this is how you need to configure dynamic process property. So now we'll see process properties. Okay, selecting process properties. So as I said, process properties are grouped, right? So and process property is a component where we can maintain revision history. We can specify multiple properties on single component, right? So here we need to configure that process property component by clicking on the plus button. Okay, new process property name. So here we need to specify, so here we need to give process property name. So now I'm giving mail property, I'm giving name as mail properties. So here you need to specify number of properties. Okay, so in each and every integration I need to send an email to customers. Those customer details, subject, mail address, from address to address, and then subject, body, everything will be same. Okay, in that case I can configure this process property and here I can configure those from address to address values. Okay, so here label, here you need to choose to address. Okay, and from address. Okay, and subject. Okay, and body. Okay, and file name. Okay, so this is how you need to configure those property names here. So if you have any default values or anything, you can pass those default values here. Otherwise you just click on save button. So here you need to select that property value from the process property component. Okay, suppose if you are sending any mail, so before mail connector you need to specify those properties here. I am just selecting process property and I'm choosing the mail properties. And if you want to configure from address, you need to choose the from address and OK. So for this from address, you have to specify that value, boomi@gmail.com. So you have to specify that value here. And if you want to configure to address as well, I'm just choosing the process property and mail properties and then to address. For the to address, you need to specify those values, name1@gmail.com, semicolon, name2@gmail.com. Okay, so this is how you need to specify process property values. So this is how you need to configure process property values on Boomi. Hope you understand today's video. If you have any doubts regarding today's video, please let me know in comment section. If you like my video, please like, share and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And please don't forget to click the bell icon so that you will get all notifications whenever I post the video. Thank you all. See you in my next video. Until then, bye-bye.